kindly join me as we make welcome with a round of applause. Osanekwu, retired director. Sir, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm retired but not tired. I'm happy that there is a topic on who is the admin officer. And you've done that, yes. But what makes the admin officer tick? What makes the admin officer tick?
No, don't worry. You want to use this message?
And what makes the admin officer tick is the type of materials you have. The type of materials you have and the type of materials you work with. I was employed in Benin, and in those days we look up to the admin officers. Mr. Rigo, who was head of service, was my classmate in the secondary school. And when we finished secondary school, Rigo went straight to HSC, while I went teaching to accumulate money to enable me go to the university. By the time I came back, Rigo was already on level 9, and I was supposed to be on level 8, but I was stagnated for 8 years. Yet, I endured and stayed. My last office would have been the head of service office, where I was DPSO. And I served under Dr. Popo as head of service and Ophili as head of service. Before I was posted to higher education, where I finally retired. I was posted to higher education few months to retirement because of something. And that something is not. The thing is that money was brought to build houses for civil servants, owner-occupier houses. And as DPSO, they said, you are in charge. But before I knew it, politicians were rushing to the office, they want to share money. Okowa was SSG. And I stood my ground and said, no, this money must be used. And my peers then, after our meeting, we held a meeting in Okowa's house, his house, from 5:30 to 8:30 in the night. And I stood my ground. And when he said we should go and conclude the matter, and I said, no, this money that came from Federal Mortgage Bank said our building society should source the money, award the contract, so that they can monitor it. But when they were rushing for that money, I said, no, these houses must be built. And we held a meeting. After the meeting, my PS called me and said, Mr. Osanekwu, who are you? Your bosses said this is the direction they want to go, and you said no. You have your own direction. I said, look, okay, the best thing people can do now is to post me out so that you continue with what you want to do. And that's why I was posted to higher education, a few months to retire. And they did what they want to do. And up to date, that money is lost. And that's why those houses are not on ground. I'm just telling you so that you will know. And don't be an admin officer that can be dribbled. One thing is that they sent somebody to my office to tell me. The man said, Osanekwu, why are you blocking us? Don't you know you have a share in this money? And I said, I don't want. And the man was shocked. The general manager I asked to come from DDPA to that meeting, he dodged the meeting. The PS who asked me, who are you? And they eventually posted me. He retired after 1 year, he died. The general manager who dodged that meeting was driving from Benin to Saple, ran into the bush, hit a tree and died on the spot. The man who came to tell me that, don't you know you have a share this money? I see him today, he has partial stroke. So if I had eaten that type of money, maybe I would have been in any of those groups. So it's an advice to you people. Don't look at people who are so big and puffy and all those things, and you begin to follow the bandwagon. What makes an admin officer tick are the rules, the books you have. We are going to talk about the civil service rule, but the civil service rule is not standing alone. It's not standing alone. This is my own copy of the Pension Act 2004. How many of you have the copy? It was 2004 and I got it in 2005. And if you look at it, it's photocopied. I have to photocopy it and bind it by myself. So this is how you accumulate materials. And this is the public service rules. How many of you have one copy, your own copy? I'm not talking of office copy. What I'm showing you now are my copies. This is the federal government revised public service rule. It was after the federal government revised its own that this state revised its own. So this is 2000, revised 2000 at the federal level, and this is state revised 2001 in Delta State. The question that was asked a while ago about why permanent secretaries were exempted from the contributory pension is backed by the Constitution. Do you have a copy of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Do you have your own copy so that if they are talking? Now, this is the Public Service Regulation 1978. This came with me from Benin, and it was published by the government printer in Benin. So I'm not going to ask you that of Benin whether you have it, but I'm going to ask you whether you have that of the state, Delta State, that was revised 2019, yesterday here. Do you have a copy? Yes. You have a copy, and this is my copy. Even if I have retired before it was published, this is my copy. And if you look at it, it looks like an ordinary paper. If you see what the government printer prints, you will know it's government printer's product. But why is it that the government printing press is no longer working? They went and awarded contract and printed it outside. And printed it outside. That is your government for you and I. Okay, this is my copy of the Bendel State of Nigeria Civil Service Rule. I came from Benin with this. This is a copy of the financial regulation. And many of you admin officers, you will be thinking that the financial regulation is for those in AG's office. It's not. You need it seriously as an admin officer. You need to, all these things you need to have your copies. And that is why when you make submission, you make a sound one. In those days in Benin, we used to call for files so that we study how, like someone like a Guerrero, former head of service, who were in Benin, we call for Obu, late Obu, we call for their files. We begin to read the submissions they made, and it was like writing a book. You learn styles of writing from them. And this is a gazette. Each year, government produces gazette like this. It's in this state we are no longer seeing it. In Benin, look at it's like this gazette. For 1 year, they will produce something like this, and civil servants will go and buy. I think it was 200 naira at that time. In Benin, and you buy and you have your copy. Something like a civil service handbook, you need it to be your guide. It will guide you both in your submissions and anything you are writing about. Then, selected circulars. The Department of Establishment and Pensions produces selected circulars, bind them like this annually. And you go and get your own copy, and you see some people putting circulars, making references to circulars. You can't write submissions without making reference to circulars. This is the one they produce in this state, binded like this. Otherwise, selected circulars are supposed to be in a folder form. It's not supposed to be in a book form, because circulars may change. And you go there, this folder, you can remove the pin and change a circular that has been changed. And in those days, if establishment is going for National Council on Establishment, everybody will be eager, waiting for them to return so that you get information, new information. Because it's a place where all the states gather and they produce policies that will guide the government. There is this federal government of Nigeria, the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act. You need to know these things as admin officer. Then federal other documents that you need to have as admin officer. And if we go through the historical background of the civil service rules, we found out that it has gone through a lot of review from the colonial era till now. In the colonial era, it was called General Order. Incidentally, I started work in Treasury Cash Office, Kwale, as an accounts clerk. And I worked there for only 2 years before I went to the university. If we look at the rules, I saw that general order in Kwale because it's a colonial office. I saw that general order there before we now started having our civil service rule. So many reviews have affected the public service rules, like the Dodgy Reforms of 1974, the Dr. Phillips Report of 1988, otherwise known as Decree number 43 of 1988. That decree would have changed a lot of things in the civil service, but those in power in the civil service at that time, both federal and state, they blocked it. And because they blocked it, they now have the Alison Ayida's report of 1999 reviewing the Dr. Phillips report, reviewing it. So it was after that we now have our current public service rule of 2001. The rule consists of 23 chapters. You are officers converted. That is why I won't go into the nitty-gritty. Imagine that time in Kuala, I have the GO, I made photocopies, I was reading it. Not to talk of now, you have the civil service rule handy to you. You should have your copies. So I just believe that we are people who have gone through the civil service rule several times, maybe for your exam or for your work. So I'm referred to from time to time. What's the rule saying? We have civil servants and we have public servants. The civil servant is one who renders service to the public on behalf of government. So from the head of service, the permanent secretaries, to you seated here, as differentiated from military service or police force. But if we want to talk of the broader aspect of it, we talk of public servants, which also includes civil servants. If we are talking of public servants, they also include civil servants, the executive council members, board members of corporations, and government officials. And I want to let you know that civil servants are employed by the civil service. Those who are employed by the civil service, either directly or indirectly, because the Civil Service Commission can give a waiver to even ministries to employ. And you won't just look at that ministry that is employing you as your employer. It is the Civil Service Commission that is your employer. One thing I would like us to look at is the issue of discipline in the service. Because with the present dispensation, it's like discipline is being swept under the carpet. And it is not a good thing, it's a bad moment for the service. Okay, look at it in case of pension, that if you are dismissed, you can still get your contribution. And these were the things people were afraid of. If I'm dismissed, I'm going with nothing. And that's why people were sitting on. Now, if you remove that, you will see that discipline will continue to fall. Chapter 4 of the Public Service Rule is on discipline. And that chapter is divided into 6 sections. You have the introduction, you have the issue of general inefficiency, you have misconduct, serious misconduct, conduct prejudicial to state security, retirement in public interest. The issue of retirement in public interest is that you are no longer useful to the service, or you are a danger to the state government or to the public. Now, under misconduct, part 1 of it, talk of that misconduct is serious act of wrongdoing susceptible of investigation. The last speaker mentioned something like that when somebody asked the question, whether can the permanent secretary dismiss you from the service? No, but he can indirectly dismiss you. Because if he issues you a query and process the query to the Civil Service Commission and an inquiry is set up, you have to face the inquiry. And if you are found wanting, you can be dismissed. So what is these offenses we are talking of? Willful omission or general misconduct, criminal conviction, except for minor offense like traffic accident. Absence from duty without leave. Note that one because it's one of the most serious offense. Disobedience of lawful order, negligence of duty, suppression of record, false claims against government, serious financial embarrassment. That serious financial embarrassment means you are a debtor, you are owing people up and down, and they are pursuing you everywhere. That is serious embarrassment, not only to you but also to the government you employ. Then engaging in political activities. That one we put question mark there because we are seeing civil servants being given political appointments now. Those things are watering everything down, which is not supposed to be. Politicians will think that they are doing their friends or relations well by co-opting them into the political system, whereas they are civil servants. But it's dangerous to the system because your government will not always be there. Another government will come. And the civil servant is supposed to be loyal to the government in power. So whatever you do, you think of tomorrow. Unauthorized or disclosure of official information. Some additional forms of misconduct include corruption, embezzlement, fighting on duty, membership of secret societies, constitutional violation, where you violate the constitution, dishonesty, drunkenness, insubordination, falsification of records, like people are falsifying their age now. It's a serious offense. In those days, you can just be dismissed with ignominy. They are doing it because government is no longer doing what it's supposed to do. People close their eyes to it and they look at it with blind eyes. Failure to keep records, that one affects your duty. Use of foul language, either to your subordinate or to your colleagues or to your senior authority. Foul language. Improper dressing. As I'm looking at you all now, you are very fine. So I want you to keep it up like this, not only during this course, so that it will distinguish you from other civil servants. You need to appear differently. You say, money, okay. You people didn't see anything. We saw her. Those of us that brought the government, that came with the government from Benin, we saw her. We were sleeping inside the office. There were no houses in Asaba. We were sleeping under the tree. Weekend on Friday, we faced Benin. On Monday, we are rushing back. You are wearing suit now. We were wearing coats that time. That we bought from Hausa people. So you are enjoying now. Well, where we meet. Recently, the head of service issued a circular on mode of dressing or dress code. And there was uproar everywhere, people shouting. I sent a text to the head of service, keep your calm, you did the right thing. If they say the head of service will determine what is proper dressing, is it an outsider that is coming to determine it? It's the head of service that we say drunkenness, that you are drunk, even in your house, if the reports get to the office. There was a man in Ministry of Justice, a lawyer, very senior lawyer, and I was in establishment that time. I organized lectures for new intakes into the service, and I asked him to come and deliver a lecture on administrative law. And the man came. It was SPC hall we were using that time. That was the most convenient hall in this state at that time. And when the man was coming, I saw him, he was staggering. I went to him. I said, we have postponed your lecture till tomorrow. So I will get back to you. He said, why did I not tell him? I said, That time there was no phone. I said I would have come to tell you, but I didn't know your house. So he went back. Do you know that that man got drunk to the extent that he died in the street of Asaba? A very senior lawyer, one of the most intelligent lawyers. You see, one day he got drunk as he was coming, staggering. Before he got to his house, he fell down. And people were saying, "Now so they do before. He go get up, he go get up." Till daybreak, he didn't get up. And that's how that man died. When I was posted from establishment to information, I met one drunkard there. And the man, he was a security man. He would get drunk, they would carry him into the toilet, lock him in one of those toilets. But when I got there, I told him, we can't continue like this. It is either you retire by yourself, voluntary retirement, or you'll be dismissed. I said, or you stop drinking. I said, I'll give you 2 weeks to think of it and come back and tell me. After 2 weeks, the man came back. He said he has tried to stop drinking, but he couldn't. I said, okay, put in your letter now. And he wrote his letter of voluntary retirement. I told him how to write it, and he wrote it, and I processed it, and he got his entitlement. So he's no longer dismissed. And the man came to Asaba one day, and I saw him. He was thanking me that I made him to retire with his benefits. So at times when you keep these people, like mad people in the service, there are procedures in the civil service rule that you will follow. Not that you will just dismiss them because they are sick or mad. There are procedures you follow to keep them or to align them. Not just tolerating everything and the civil service will be getting bad names. We will talk of absence from duty without permission. I said it's a serious offense, which penalty is dismissal from the service without formality. That's Public Service Rule number 04202, without formality. And that should be noted. Lateness to duty is likened to being absent from duty also. I don't know how many of you worked with me here, either in information, head of service, or higher education. Only one person. I used to rule off my time book twice, at 8 o'clock and at 8:30. If I see that many people have not come, I can leave it to 8:45. I rule it off again. So that when you come, you put the actual time you came. And it made my officers to sit up, they come early, they do everything fine. So when you work under me, you will come out as a fine officer. You will be like Tobore or Christy. I was appointed as a secretary to a committee. That committee was mainly made up of permanent secretaries. We were auditing the staff of Delta State University, Abraka. And my peers then asked me to get an officer from office, who will assist in that job. And when I was coming, I brought a lady. My peers said, "What? You brought a woman? You think this job is for women?" I said, "Look, this woman is stronger than a man." And the lady really worked. And by the time the PS saw how the lady worked, the PS called me and said, "You are going to give this lady special report. All her APA should be A." I told the PS, I said, "I don't give people A in APA. Because the rule says if you are giving A, you must explain why you are giving A. If you are giving D, you must explain that. And that's why people just go for B. Let my people go." Unfortunately, that lady, we lost her. So we are talking of loitering during work hours. leaving office without permission, any movement that removes you from your duty post is not allowed without permission. Staying away from work without prior notification can make you forfeit your salary when you get query for that. There are procedures for to follow for absence from duty. For instance, you rule 09394, a part of it. You are required to report your illness to your head of department immediately. That is within 24 hours. Within 24 hours. The only query I got in my file throughout my years of service was that time we were shuttling Asaba, Benin. One of the weekends I went to Benin and couldn't come back till Wednesday because I fell ill. Fortunately for me, I went to the general hospital in Benin. I did lab tests and everything, and they recommended drugs. So when I came to meet the query that I absented myself from duty. And I went to the PS then and explained to him that this is what happened. I was well when I was going, but immediately I got to Benin. Throughout that weekend I was sick. And so on Monday I went to the hospital. He said, well, and this thing I want to say, I want you to note it. He said, well, you have been issued a query, you go and answer it. He said, query is question, it's your duty to answer. So just note that, not that query just issued for vindictiveness, no. It's a question because the person wants to be clarified about the action involved. So, let's go to the main gist. When I was given this topic, I was just giving public service rules. You know what is happening to RFI now? How many of you, since 3 or 4 days ago, RFI is pulling inside EFCC detention, a whole RFI. You know the former governor of Kwara State, how he was running and hiding, and these were governors or past governors. So don't ever say Oga say and go and put your hand in fire. The question is, what does the rule say? Does the rule permit me to do this? I've told people the story why I was posted out of. So, what is this accountability we are talking about? Rendering account to someone with authority over you. Because when we talk of accountability, our mind will just go to AG's office or financial regulation. Accountability is varied. It also requires accepting personal consequences for problems that could have been avoided, including discipline, embarrassment, effect on professional reputation. All these are there in accountability. And we look at 4 criteria of accountability. 1, state of being answerable for one's action and conduct. Answerable for your conduct and for your action. Whatever you are doing, be ready to be answerable. To say, this is what I did and this is why I did it. I was director of training for 7 years. Director of training is in charge of training in the whole state civil service. One day my PS called me, late engineer, was our PS then in establishment. He said, Osanekwu, do you know that the vote you control, not many permanent secretary controls it? Yes, I was controlling huge sum of money, but the money is not mine. It's for civil servants. I made sure during my tenure, all those going for in-service training, they get their money. All those going for study leave without pay or with pay, they get what they deserve. All those things. I didn't shortchange civil servants to buy car or build house. After I left, only God knows what happened. The second criteria is state of being liable to report and justify actions in relation to specific matters. That time, Eroro was our PS. Ifinudu was a SSG, and Ifinudu sent somebody to me that we should give him a job to do, to lecture civil servants. And I told the man that our vote has not been approved. And later Fenudu sent the man to call me. And I went to Eroro. I said, Fenudu is calling me. He said, don't go. Stay in your office. If he calls you again, tell him that I said you should not go. Instead, he should call me. Why will he bypass me and call you? So I minuted in a file to my peers. I said, I'm requested to come and see the SLG on this issue. And he wrote there, in my presence, he wrote, don't go, and threw the file under his table. So there are certain actions you will remove your head. That one belongs to the problem. Later, if Fenudu became, what is it? Herrero became head of service and then later became SH. Then, being faithful in the discharge of one's official duties. Being faithful in the discharge of your duties. Are you discharging your duties effectively and efficiently in your mind? Like in the pension bureau, we have people that usurp civil servants to make money. They don't know that they are making bloody money because those people you are suffering. The present chairman told me when I went to his office that somebody came to his office to ask for his pension one day and collapsed there. They carried him to the hospital. He had total stroke. If that man dies, is it not those who were hiding his files that will be answering? God will ask them. Then we have 6 types of accountability. We have political stroke, executive accountability, legislative accountability, financial accountability, legal stroke, judicial accountability, and personal accountability. Finally, institutional accountability. All these vary, so you can see that it's only one, the third one, that has to do with money. The other ones have to do with directly your office. If you are a judge or a magistrate, are you fair in what you are doing? Or because you have taken bribe? So these are the questions you have to be asking yourself on the issue of accountability. The core public service rules that should be guiding civil servants are loyalty to public interest. Loyalty to public interest. This thing I'm doing, is it good for the public interest? Or am I doing it for my own interest? Or am I doing it for the interest of the man who put me there and asked me to do it? Then, service to the fatherland. You have to realize that you are rendering service to your fatherland. And that you took oath that you will render the service effectively and efficiently. Then ethical values, which include honesty, integrity, probity, putting common good above self-interest. That's when we talk of ethical values. We talk of fairness and equity. That's balancing interest and preserving rights in fair and equitable manner. They must be balanced. Corruption and lack of accountability. When accountability is lacking, it leads to dishonest practice, unethical behavior, and disregard of the law. That time you push the law aside, begin to do what is in your mind. Then what are the signs? How do we know that there is a lack of accountability? We see the signs. The signs include corruption, like the example I gave. The example I gave about the bureau. It didn't start today. It started long ago. Those in pension, in establishment, they were collecting bribe from retirees. And that time, Dooms was our governor. And I was the unit chairman of Senior Staff Association in establishment. And the chairman, Dieteke, came to me and told me that Dooms wants to see us because of what they are doing in the pension there. I ran, I told my PS, look, the governor is inviting us for this. The governor, the PS said, I beg, leave matter. And we left. And behold, Dooms called us. We're government house here. When we entered the soil, Dooms said, heads must roll. The following morning, the thing was carried in pointer, and the PS started panicking. The director of pension started panicking because the governor said heads must roll. But they didn't take it serious when I told them. So, after all said and done, Agunwayo, that's a late Koditmodi, was the person who went to beg Dooms for forgiveness. And Dooms said he doesn't want to hear that thing again. Why was I invited? Number one, as the unit chairman of establishment. Number two, I'm in establishment where that thing is happening. So when everything has died down, the director came to my office one day and was abusing me. He said, we are the people that went to tell Dooms they are collecting bribe. I said, no. How can I meet Dooms? Started abusing. And as he was abusing, I just said, okay, all your abuse will go back to you. Plus, the abuse of those people you are collecting bribe from will go to you. People cannot come from Warri.